I'm going to start that one over. The good food.
Good food podcast.
Hi again, fam. My name is Jess. This is another episode of the Good Fruit podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have somebody that God just planted right inside of my path one day recently. And we got to just sit there and delight in the midst of a pool party and just talk about the goodness of God. So today we have Mihail Paukovic here with us. Hi, Mihail. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on here.
I'm so glad you're here. And I just want to be able to dig right into, you have such an incredible story. You have such an incredible story of obedience and surrender and confronting God in your full, vulnerable, honest self and allowing him to move you in a way that's very contrary to maybe what you set out to do. So for those of us that may not know you yet, can you give us a little background about you and how you first came to know God?
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. That is awesome. It hasn't always been that, but I grew up in Eastern Europe, in Serbia, and I have known of God, through my parents. My parents were, strong in the Orthodox Church over there, but I have never had an experience where I really had to, grip on God and have my own personal experience with him. Until I was maybe 28, I have shared my testimonies with people, but it was always through somebody else's testimony or through the things that I read. It's oh, look what it says in the Bible, it's cool. And then I know that a lot of people struggle with addictions. I had an alcohol one, and getting out of that was what really, really showed me who God is, who I am. And how God works.
Yes. And so take us through that. What was the moment that you were inside of that addiction? What did that look like? And where was God in it for you?
I think a lot of people can relate that you don't realize that you were there until it seems like it's too late.
Exactly.
I was working in the nightclub industry, and I was like, oh, it's fine. I can have a drink here and there, and it's all cool. And then I'm like, oh, I don't understand how people, get addicted to things I can stop whenever I want. And then it came to a point where I found myself in a hole where I have lost my health. I, have lost a lot of my friends. And it wasn't anymore, drinking for fun. It was not to shut down feelings.
Okay.
And it came to a point where I couldn't talk to anybody. Yeah, I've never said this to anybody really, but there were 2 or 3 months where I cried myself to sleep, and cried myself to wake up.
Yeah.
And there was so much pain, from the things that happened in the past and the person that I have become through that, experience with alcohol. Because, alcohol will never bring anything good. It's a huge lie in the world to, oh, go have fun here, have a little bit here, a little bit there. Oh, don't be that guy that doesn't want to drink. I tell you right now, it's not worth it with anything. I could not feel God anymore. And I think that was the scariest thing for me, where I would try to say a prayer, and there was a feeling in my chest where it's he's not there and he will never be there. And, it's a big lie from the devil that he doesn't, want you, that he doesn't want to listen to you, that you have gone too far with everything. And he's shown me so many blessings before. And it's how can you do this when you have seen so much of his blessings and his mercy? And my dog jumped on my bed and started licking my face. And, and I was like, oh, buddy. And then my father called 10 seconds later, and I haven't spoke to him in a while. And he was like, hey, what's going on? I kind of have a bad feeling about something. And I was like, okay, I think this is God intervening right now. And he offered me help. I was 28 years old with, a pill platter, AM, PM for every day of the week, because my liver failed, my, my heart, my spleen, kidneys, everything just went down. And the doctor said, son, if you keep on like this, you have about 30 days of life.
Wow. Guys, that's 28 years old.
Yeah.
28 years old, your body can go into failure from these things that are sold to us as fun.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Yeah, it Yeah, I lost probably about 35 to 40 pounds. And I was always an athlete my whole life. I was
Mm-hmm.
always going to the gym. I played basketball. I played all these sports. I swam for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I found myself in this place that like I don't even know how I got there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy, because like we're standing and like we see those waters of sin, but we slowly kind of get close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we try to push those lines. It's like I can be here, but I can also be there.
Mm-hmm.
But then like you step in it and it just slides you down so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, for a lot of people, it swallows them. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
really, really blessed that God gave me an opportunity to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those next, I think it was like 10 months, I moved away from the city. I
Mm-hmm.
cut, contact with all my friends, with my ex-fiance, with,
Mm-hmm.
some family members. I just, focused on myself. And that growth was so painful.
Yes, it hurts to be changing,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it's for your good, because so for those at home, and if you ever have anything you want to say directly to anybody at home, you just look right at that
Yeah.
camera. That one's
Okay.
yours. But for those at home that might be like, we believe in God, the God of the universe, and we know that he has an enemy, and that enemy has an army, and these lines are eternal. They have been around since the beginning of time, since before time. I need people to understand, like, their only agenda is to pull us away from God, because they know that life separated from God is a life of misery, is a life of death, is a life without life. And so when you actually start to pursue learning more about God and leaning into God and wanting to have his attributes kind of, supersede the ones that you've grown to in the world, you're going to have so much resistance inside of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to have resistance around you. People don't always want to see people heal or grow or leave lifestyles that they've bonded over. Can you tell us a little bit what that's like?
Yeah, I think that people like to be in a place that's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you try to leave, they're like, why, dude? Like we have a great time here. We have fun. We're out there drinking, having fun. The closer you get to God, more he starts to give you that feeling of like, hey, this is not it.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't do this. And, in those 10 months, like I've made mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
like I got so overwhelmed and I, and I grabbed the bottle that my roommate had. And then I would sit there and cry,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like very vulnerable to say, but it's just like I made a mistake and this is it,
Mm-hmm.
like it's over. I was 27 days sober and now I messed it up, and it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
He was still there saying, hey, it's okay. Tomorrow we start again.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, right now we start again.
Right now we started.
After I moved back to Salt Lake,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of reconnected with some people from my past, and and we went out and I went to the bar. And they're all older drinks. And I was like, I'm not going to take anything. And I was like, you know what? I've been sober for a while. I can give myself a treat, which was, I don't even know what I was thinking. So I bought, a drink that I've always drank. I drank in the bottles.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one sip and it tasted so horrible.
Mm.
And my whole body hurt, like my chest hurt, my stomach hurt, my legs were shaking, my arms were shaking.
Mm.
And in the middle of music and people laughing and screaming and all that, I just heard a voice in my head, and it said, son, it's over.
Mm.
He said, we're going to move on from this.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there and I just pushed the glass away and I haven't touched it since. And I don't think that would have happened if I didn't truly spend all of this time killing my natural self.
Mm-hmm.
And like of allowing God saying, hey, take this life away from me, take all the knowledge, all the things that I've learned so far,
Mm-hmm.
And let me heal.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there the whole time. And that was the first time in my life where I actually experienced that God walks along you the whole way.
The whole way, forever.
Yeah.
Each one of us individually. God is so big and so far outside of time, so far outside of our actual ability to understand him, that it doesn't quite compute. That I have people that say, like, why would you ask God about this little detail? Why would you bring this to God so many times throughout your day? Like, he has bigger fish to fry. There's something in my eyeball. The truth is, he does have bigger fish to fry, and he's doing all of it at the same time. Every single person on this earth has the opportunity to spend their entire day with God and not be depleting his resources or depleting his attention or depleting his miraculous ability to heal people or to be comforting people. And I love that so much about your story, because you are a living testimony. Like, recently, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll say this about myself. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for a moment of surrender at my deepest, darkest, lowest point, and a life that became obsessed with him afterwards. It wasn't just, hey, God, I think you're real. Can you help me? And then you experience a healing and then you just completely move on. I think that to your point, there's a time frame in which things are being burnt off of you. There's a time frame in which you're learning for yourself. You're testing God with some of your old, I'm saying to myself, there's things I haven't let go of entirely yet that I still sit with God and try and figure out. But there's things that he takes out immediately from your appetite. He just changes what you like. He changes what you're interested in. If you're somebody that's willing to learn about him, I was somebody that spent a great deal of time resistant to the Bible recently. Like, up until about a year and a half ago, I had gotten to the point where I felt like the church had mangled God's word so much with the political structures and with the socioeconomic realities of today that I just didn't really want to deal with it. I had spent my life studying it and memorizing it. I had spent my life believing I knew everything that was in here, and I didn't like where it had gone. So my takeaway was just, that's not for me anymore. And then I asked God, after my healing experience a year and a half ago, God, I don't want my prayers to be about what I need, in my control, in my will, in my desires. I want my prayers to be, how can I know you more? How can I know you so well that I can love your people better? How can I love you so well that I can start loving myself for the first time ever? And in that, he brought me to the Bible, and I would go there with fresh eyes, and he would be revealing truth and revealing life and revealing fruit inside of here that my heart had been resistant to. And it sounds like you've experienced that too, where there's a likely chance you wouldn't be here as you are today if it wasn't a moment of surrender and then a fierce pursuit of knowledge of God, of God's knowledge, of his heart, of his character. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. So before those dreams started, I was praying and I didn't care if God didn't hear. It was one of those on my hands and knees, tears and veins in my face, and I was just, I've never been in that much pain in my life. And I was just like, if you want me to stay here, just please. I never understood that when people are like, oh, I pleaded with God. I was like, well, I pray to God, I don't have to plead. But it was because I didn't have something to plead over.
Yeah.
And it was my own life at that moment.
Yeah.
And it was life of the people in the future, because God, he cares about me, but he helped me get better for his other sons and daughters who are struggling with the same thing, listening from home. And he said, hey, I'm going to give you a chance, but I will also give you an opportunity to speak up and to say, hey, this is, a real problem. And I am so, so, so grateful for that opportunity that, he has said, hey, look in a mirror. You don't like what you see? Let's change it. And he took me by the hand and he said, let's do this step by step. And getting over your ego and your pride and thinking that you know the best. And we have all created this reality in us, that we have lived for so long, where God is that's not actual reality.
Yeah.
And getting close to God, studying God in the Bible, you get to know him. The more you get to know him, more you will love him. And more you love him, more you will want to serve him. And how you serve God, as Jesus said in the scriptures, hey, I was hungry and you gave me food. And it is serving to other people. And I think that's why he gives us trials in life. And every time we overcome them, we can carry that with us as a medal and say, hey, look, I have survived this, and somebody else can say, hey, I struggle with the same thing. And that's how God works. He works through people, through everybody that we meet. I came to that pool party and I honestly wasn't enjoying it because everybody were drinking and stuff, and that's just
it was
not
a
my
wild
thing.
It was a Sunday too,
and
it was a historically wild day at that pool, and we were connected by a friend. We sat down and we just were bowing at the feet of Jesus in the way that he's miraculously changed our lives.
Yeah, for an hour. My friends were like, we have to go. And I was like, give me 5 more minutes.
Give us a second. There's
Yeah.
some good stuff here. And I think that one thing that kind of also, there were so many things about your story that popped out to me, but we get so lost by the illusion of control. that
Mm.
is it's the fruit of pride. And you mentioned that. And the thing that I think is so hard as humans in 2025 to swallow is the fact that our pride will kill us. Our
Yep.
pride will get in the way and betray us and ruin everything about our lives. And the idea that we have this illusion of control, that we actually can do something and we have control over it. We can have that drink, we can have that bender, we can have that relationship, we can have that job, whatever it might be. We can do it and we can control it because we have this pride that we are God. And we're being taught by a culture that's saying, manifest greatness, bring your best self to life, live out your dreams. Your dreams are the sole truth of reality. Your truth matters just as much as their truth matters. And this isn't to override anybody's individual experience at
Yeah.
home. I'm not saying that the reasoning behind that doesn't always make sense, but it's a lie to think that we actually can control anything. I think you and I both are lived experiences that we got to our lowest points by grasping onto control. We only got to those moments with our head in the ground, with our tears on the rug. Like, we only got there because we had tried so hard with our pride to believe it was our problem to fix and that we had the tools inside of us. And God shows up in those places when you're able to just for a moment set down those tools, for a moment set down those lies, for a moment set down those illusions and say, God, I don't know anything, but I do believe in my core that you exist. I do believe in my core, some remnant, some generational remnant within me believes that you might be good and that you might be there. And then he shows up with the smallest invitation. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like, if you're holding onto the steering wheel so tight and he tries to be like, hey, we should go this way, he can't do anything because you're holding on to that thing so tight. And you're like, I know where I'm going. I don't need your help. I don't need the GPS.
Yeah,
And there's nothing he can do because he's not a forceful God.
exactly. He's a gentleman.
Yeah, he is. And he wants us to come to him. And I am so grateful. Like, at the time, I was like, why is this happening to me? Because I chose it.
Yeah. You pursued a path that looked
Yeah.
good, that looked right. Because can we also talk about the fact that there are so many counterfeits? This world, this life on earth as humans is so brief, and yet it feels so long. We allow our 30, 40, 50 years on this earth to dictate the actual timeline of existence. We believe we have all the answers. We believe that we've learned everything there is to learn. And then we show up, and when God intervenes, you get droplets of eternal wisdom. You get droplets of eternal truth. And that truth, the thing that came in my, year and a half of isolation, of pursuing God in separation from everybody else, was that pride is the first thing you have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because it infects everything you do. And it's just a posture that doesn't leave room necessarily for God to be at your side. God's there, but again, he requires an invitation. He requires you to want him there. He could easily push himself into our lives. And I do think he does intercede in specific miraculous moments, but he wants a relationship. I think both of
100%.
our faith is not constricted or confined by religious ideologies. Our faith is driven and is fueled by experiences of God himself and how much he loves each of us individually. I just heard Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell this morning on a recent talk saying that he loves God because he felt like God showed up for him personally. He came into the world and into the moment and into a bathroom where this man had his radical change and felt like God did that because he wanted that particular person. And at that particular person, there was gangs, there was drugs, there was all different types of seedy choices in your life that might make you think you're too far away from him. And yet I think you and I talked about the fact that no matter what circumstance you're in, no matter how dark it might seem, how contrary or anti-God your reality might be, God is there as soon as you ask him to be. And he picks you up, he lifts up your chin, and he emboldens you with a new strength that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And he doesn't need you to be anywhere specific to meet you. He will meet you wherever you are if you call upon him.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that, like through the 12 apostles.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't go to the temple and recruit all of these guys, they were buttoned up and had all of this knowledge and lived their lives so perfectly up to that point. He called on Matthew, who was a tax collector.
Mm-hmm.
He called on Simon the Zealot.
Yeah.
He said, hey, like, put down your weapons.
Yes.
Put down all of this that you have been doing before and come and learn my wisdom. And they all did.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it seems kind of easy. It's like, oh yeah, I will put away what I was doing. But like, when you actually have to live it,
mm-hmm.
it is a very, very hard thing,
mm-hmm.
because you live your whole life in this environment, in this reality that you created. And I think now when I read the Bible and Jesus says, oh, you fools, I recognize myself a lot in it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, we are. He said, first seek the kingdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else will fall in place.
Yep.
So if you're struggling with addiction, if you're struggling with money, if you're struggling with your relationship, like your marriage,
mm-hmm.
your children, anything that you struggle with in life, if you seek the kingdom of God first, you seek a relationship with God,
mm-hmm.
everything else, in my personal experience, it falls into place. Like,
mm-hmm.
I didn't think I could come back. Like, as a 28-year-old, to hear, hey, you have 30 days of life if you keep going like this. Or
mm-hmm.
like, I mean, it's over. Like it's 30 days. It's 1 month.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And it was, such a reality kick. And the devil is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows you these beautiful things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lie.
It's a lie. It's a counterfeit.
It's
an
lie.
illusion.
It is an illusion, and God said, hey, my road is not going to be the easiest one,
mm-hmm.
but it's going to be the one that's going to be more worth it at the end, for
mm-hmm.
you and for your children, for your offspring, for friends around you, and people can tell, people who have God in their life have that glow to them,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, and you can feel more comfortable, right? Because they have the Spirit of God in them.
Yeah.
And as I have this opportunity, like, I just want to say to, all of you who are listening that you're not far gone.
You're not, gosh, I have chills.
You're like, you cannot go further than God can go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you think you're at the end of the world, but he can reach past that,
mm-hmm.
And he can bring you back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not mad at you.
Mm-hmm.
He is not upset with you. He just loves you.
That's
and
it.
He just wants you to come back. All he wants is for you to say, hey, I need you. And that's what I did on my hands and knees. For the first time in my life, I said, I'm out of ideas. I am out of plans. I am
mm-hmm.
out of people. I am out of alcohol at this point because, it's expensive. It's like, I don't know what else to grab on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was standing right there. And all I had to do is look up. And you see in the Bible all the time, like when he heals somebody, he said, open your eyes and see.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, pick up your mat and walk,
mm-hmm.
stand up. Like you have to make that action. He can't just make things disappear in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the one that says, hey, I want to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And when he heals you, he said, stand up and start walking.
Mm-hmm.
And like the man, at the Bethesda pool, if you haven't walked for 38 years, for you to stand up and walk, that would be so painful.
That'd be so painful.
Right? And like your legs haven't worked in 30 years, like your back would probably hurt and everything like that. But, he said, stand up and walk. And he walked and he carried that bed. And we kind of talked about this earlier,
mm-hmm.
how, he didn't just tell him, hey, stand up and go. He said, pick up your bed and walk.
Mm-hmm.
And, he made him pick up that bed and walk as a testimony, of his healing. Because
mm-hmm.
everybody knew him as a man who laid next to the pool on his bed, who couldn't walk. And now he was walking through the city with the bed in his hands, and
mm-hmm.
he was walking. And I feel like a lot of us have that opportunity, the things that we have experienced through God. Like mine is the alcoholism, and he said, like, pick up this burden and walk with it
mm-hmm.
and be, an example to somebody else who's struggling. Because, I mean, like, it destroys families. It destroys, like, your personal relationship with yourself,
mm-hmm.
with everybody around you. It destroys your work, your career, your dreams, your potential, everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So God does not hate you. He doesn't care about anything but your salvation,
your healing,
and
then your ability to be a testimony to others.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful is when we were talking about this earlier, you had said even like picking up. So this is obviously a scriptural story about a healing at with Jesus's hands at the Bethesda pool, and you said that's picking up your wheelchair and walking. That's picking up the bottles of booze that have betrayed you and walking. That's picking up the years of trauma that you've endured and survived and walking, because that's the whole purpose of this space, is to gather people who have gone through their breaking point.
Yeah.
And at that end of themselves, God showed up and he flipped the script. And I think that it's so gorgeous to imagine that there's such a beauty in our testimony, not just for us, because yes, we want to remember where we were at. We want to have the memory of how far we've been brought. This was recent for you that you went through this, and you are this whole vibrant, articulate person. And no one would guess when they meet you that you're freshly out of something so dark. And I understand what that's like, because people sometimes don't even believe you when you say, oh, I was this low this recently, because God restores time. He doesn't just fix it. He doesn't just intervene when you ask him to. He doesn't just heal up a wound that's there. He makes the whole person healthier. He makes the whole person stronger beyond the wound itself, because he's trying to activate us. He's saying, go out now and take this story to people. Right. And that's how we met is in the community that this party was happening in. I had a friend who knows me and knows my faith and doesn't necessarily share it and doesn't necessarily always have the most, a lot of time to want to go through the things that I'm thinking through. But he had started talking to you about your faith. And then he connected us and said, you guys talk about your faith. And then suddenly we had all of these crazy mutual lived experiences. So I also encourage people, just start talking to people around you. I can say for myself, there's still so much in my life when it comes to obedience and when it comes to surrender that I'm working through in real time. God doesn't require you to also be completely perfect in order to start talking about him to people. He just needs that one evidence, that one undeniable evidence in your life that he came and he showed up and he transforms it for good, and he will supercharge you with that. And he will give you, as you said, he'll change the appetites, he'll change the tastes in order to make it so that you have the strength to continue to move forward and to be an example of how lives can be turned around in a way that is pure and in a way that is good. You've given us a lot of detail as to what it's like to both go through that moment of transformation and then walk through that kind of painful transformation. But as we said, this is a relationship, right? And in any relationship, when you're dating, you have to get to know them. You have to spend time with them. You have to ask them questions. You have to be just as curious about them as you are about yourself. Otherwise, it's the most narcissistic relationship ever, correct?
Yeah.
And so with that, can you tell us a little bit about, separate from just the challenge of walking upright past your former self into this person that you believe that God's calling you to be, can you tell us what it feels like to be falling in love with him at that same time? Ooh. And how much that fulfills that next season? Because it's not just challenging. There's so much goodness also in that new season too. Would you agree?
Yeah. Earlier you said something about, that God has bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
And we're all big fish. Mm-hmm. And I think the closer I got to God, more I see him in those small things. And I feel like the small things make my faith stronger with him. Mm-hmm. When I see him in like everyday things, just like around my house, or like I can't find my keys. And I'm like, where are my keys? I got an Apple tag now because I lose my keys nonstop. And I would just say a prayer. I was like, God, please help me find my keys. And I'll find my keys.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to have a relationship with somebody who cares about every single detail of your life. Like when you have friends, or your spouse, like they can get annoyed. It's like, oh, that doesn't matter. Just get over it. But he cares about everything. And that's what I really love, and that's what keeps me on this path, because I know that I will have more hard things come in the future. And this time, I don't want to go through it alone. I don't want to go through it with any other alternative God that we have in this world, to help us. I feel like people find everything else to hold on to besides God for some reason. Hold on to horoscopes, hold on to all of these other things, but like, why not God? And to me, I was so fortunate to be able to experience him firsthand in my problems, he came with a sword and he was like, let's fight these things together.
Mm.
And, you know, like I was weak at a time. I couldn't lift up my weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't lift up my sword. I couldn't do anything. And, you know, it felt like he stood over me and he fought off a couple of things and then lifted me up and gave me strength.
Mm.
And he said, here, you know, it's time that you take up, you know, some responsibility in this.
Mm.
And I am in that phase now, you know, like where I still have him next to me, but I'm strong enough to stand side by side with my sword in my hand.
Yes.
You know, and when somebody offers me alcohol, like at the pool, I felt so proud of myself because 6 different times somebody offered me a drink and I was able to say no. And it felt so good. And I felt him so much in my chest every time I said no,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was like, okay, like I have that strength now to hold my own sword. And when somebody says here, like I can just like swipe it off.
Yeah.
And say no. Like, and nothing against those people, but it's that personal relationship that I have with God now
Mm-hmm.
that is helping me so much in everyday things. Like if a song comes up and it has all of this cuss words, like, and he's talking about like horrible things that like I don't want to be a part of anymore. Like I have the strength to switch it.
Yep.
And it seems like such a small thing. Like, or if there's like a video, you know, like on TikTok or something, and it's inappropriate, swipe it.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, or shut your phone off, you know, like, or get off of social media. You know, like, it's such a small thing. So, oh, like, okay, like, you switch the song. Like, what's the big deal? It's a big deal to me because I know that everyday things are trying to slowly shut down my relationship with God.
Yeah.
And it's a battle. And like you said, it's a relationship. And if
Yeah.
you stop working in the relationship, it's slowly going to fade away. And God, I feel like, is begging us to keep working on our relationship with him because he doesn't want us to get far. Because we came from him. If you cut the roots of a plant, it will die.
Yeah.
You know, and he's our root.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when you cut God out of your life, you slowly start to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that way, that I was just slowly, you know, going away. And at first you don't notice it. So I feel like that's my thing about keeping the relationship now is just remembering what he did. And I feel like in the scripture he always says like, hey, remember. And I feel like we forget a lot of the times. We're like, oh, God helped us. Thank you. And then we were like, out of, you know, this way, you have to remember who was there for you when nobody else was.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
including when you weren't there for yourself.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
You know, and you have such a great story about that. And I respect you a lot for putting so much effort into creating this, right? And giving, you know, a lot of people platform to share that story, and a lot of people at home who might be at their last straw and said, I don't know what else to do. And then you come in with this and they hear, you know, somebody else's story. Because, you know, I think it's a really, really, really beautiful thing. And I am so glad that you didn't quit at that time, you know, but you picked up your bed and said, hey, whoever needs to lay on this, come. Yeah. You know, and I will let God speak. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing, you know, like what you're doing. And I'm so excited to see more of it too.
Thank you. That blessed me. I'm so grateful to have you here because, I mean, that's the crazy thing. I think it's really, again, with religiosity, right? There's this conviction that you feel internally when you're seeking relationship. There's a way God corrects you on your own to help your behavior create more space for him, right? And there's times when my healing was the better part of a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. There's enough time removed sometimes where I'll notice I'm not in my Bible the way I was. I'm not in my prayer life the way that I was, but I do still know that this is good. This is important. And that's what I've been like clinging to and that's why I literally came in here and did one episode by myself. And I said, no, we need more than me. This is not something I can carry alone. I still have so much work to do in my own life before I can be, I think, really a teacher in this way, but I can be a witness. I can be a witness of God, and I can sit with other witnesses. And one thing that you shared that I really want to speak to anybody at home right now that might be in this place is that the end of yourself, the end of your rope, your rock bottom is so painful. And it's so overwhelming, and it's so, like, the only way that even exists is that there is a complete world around you that is lying to you about the fact that that's the end of it for you. And God, like we said, he's there. He wants to meet you there. But a lot of the time I want to encourage you. We talk about fighting through this. We talk about changing our lives, changing our identities, laying down certain behaviors, laying down certain desires. Yes, that's painful. Yes, that's sacrifice. A lot of the time at the beginning of it, God just lets you rest. A lot of the time at the beginning of it, God will give you a place or give you the people where he will get up on your back and he will fight for you like you described. He will be the one. We know that the Holy Spirit is the advocate. He is the Spirit of truth. He is the person that goes before us and fights battles for us that aren't even ours to be fought. We don't even know all the battles we're facing. We don't even know all the opposition that's against us. We don't know where this one recording could land that really disrupts the enemy's plans. And therefore, we need to have this like warrior king standing alongside us. And a lot of the time at the beginning, he just allows us to rest. That was true for you for a short amount of time. He gave you time to sit down and to allow him to do the fighting for you. He gave me that time. I spent 3 weeks basically in bed resting with my family where I felt like God was fighting my battles for me. And as he's doing that, he allows you to heal in a way that you don't even understand. And then when you do stand up, suddenly you have so much more strength than you ever thought you could have when you first laid down.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like I was up, and running with my dog after 3 weeks, and it would have taken me, who knows, like 6 months to get better. It was so quick. And just one more thing, like to say about this is that I always thought that God lived like up in heavens and he was like all the way above us and like looking down on us. Where I found God was my rock bottom.
Yep.
And I feel like a lot of times he meets people there.
Yep.
And I think it's a beautiful thing because he will dwell in any place. He will go to the ends of the earth to bring one sheep
home
that has strayed away. And there is no field or forest, how far it is that you can stray away, that he's not going to go to, to get it.
Absolutely. There's no place that's too dark or too dirty or too pained for him to get there. I just want to thank you so much for this. I'm believing we're going to have you on again to get more because this guy has so many stories. They're remarkable. They are powerful. They are life-giving. I hope that anybody listening at home today finds strength to continue wherever they're at. Know that God meets you where you're at. Just ask for even just out of the littlest curiosity for him to show up, and he will. He'll reveal himself to you. He'll reveal truth to you. He'll reveal life to you. He'll reveal you to you. And there's so much goodness on that side of the equation. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want to be told the next time we drop an episode. We'll be back here again next week with another testimony of God's radical grace and unfathomable genius. And in the meantime, we pray that God blesses you. He protects you. He gives you hope. He gives you creativity. He gives you humor. And we can't wait to be back here again with you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.